HFR, Market Vitals. Let's, Matt, are you there? Welcome Matt in. Hold on. How about now? Can I hear you now?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. I can hear you too.
All right.
There we go. I can hear you better now when you yell and scream. Where's the Michigan garb? Come on. You're letting down the MGO Blue Nation.
You got to take a day off after the big brown jug victory, first game with the mighty Gophers since 2017, and that boat that they like to row pretty much got sunk.
Man, let me take a second though and just compliment the Minnesota coach, former coach of my alma mater, Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo. Go Broncos. You know what we used to say in Kalamazoo? She's a Bronco. Anyway, PJ Fleck, one of the great stories in college football, right? He brings the dormant Western Michigan program to life, actually gets them to the first MAC major bowl game in maybe forever, as they played in the Cotton Bowl a few years back against Wisconsin. I was at the game, and he got the whole university system and the town of Kalamazoo, everybody rowing the boat. Row the boat. Like, we can't do this by ourselves. Everybody's got to row the boat. Everybody's got to pitch in, similar to the 12th man up there in Seattle. And then he lands a job, as he should, and bankrolls, and he gets a payday with the Big Ten coaching job at Minnesota. But the best part, and I know you know this, is that he went to he got to go to the athletic director at Western Michigan and say, oh, by the way, row the boat. I trademarked that. I'm bringing it to Minnesota, where we can row canoes and boats and paddle boards. Anyway, what a forward thinker to do that, huh? Crazy.
And he's a great recruiter. I mean, if that guy was walking into your living room as a parent, I think you'd be pretty excited that he wanted your son to be on your football team. So
how about it?
I'm all for having further competition within the best conference in all of football and all of basketball and all of baseball and all of hockey.
Spoken as only a MGO Blue man can. Let's talk trading psychology just for about 38 seconds, right? Because we got a lot to get through on today's program.
Yep.
Sunset. You had a nice weekend in Southern California, as we woke up this morning in Bend, Oregon, and it was 14 degrees.
Yeah, I flew home last night. I left the sunny confines of Southern Cal, San Diego, specifically where I was visiting my two older sons who attend the university down there, the fine University of San Diego. And we did play some golf at Torrey Pines, next year's host again for the U.S. Open 2021 and the Farmers Open. So they got back-to-back events coming up here, February, June. They've already got ankle length fairways, which you can see in the fairways, or not fairways, but the rough, and the fairways are cut down so small because they're trying to shrink the fairways from the, kind of the playability that it has now for the municipal, because it's a municipal track. People don't realize that the city of San Diego owns and runs and manages the course there at Torrey Pines.
So. Awesome, dude. And oh my word. Oh yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm looking at sometimes when technology hits you in the face, I just had one of those moments. We're not recording. Yeah, we are. The turf, the rough looks ridiculous. I mean, it looks like
seriously, it's above ankle already, and you watch the ball go in there, and it's like cabbage. I stood on a couple balls before I found them. I literally, and so I was very happy with the 42, 43 I had in the front, and then I parred the first 4 holes on the back, and then we ran out of light. So I was happy because I couldn't hit a fairway to save my life, Bob. Could not hit a fairway.
Well, the golf gods are shining on us because although it was 14 degrees this morning, it looks like we're going to have a nice mid 60s day on Wednesday when we hit the links, as we do every Wednesday, because we play doctors on TV. Anyway, let's move on down and let's.
Hey, don't forget, by the way, did you see the largest the Minnesota corn maze also that they had?
Oh, I did row the boat. There you go. I wonder if they have to pay PJ Fleck a little bit of the entrance fee to the corn maze.
I think he's getting a collection every time that thing is shown on ABC or any website. He's getting a trademark. Tell people about that. Well, you said it before. Like, he literally left the league, Western Michigan, with the bag and said, "Oh, by the way, I own the trademark."
Yeah,
it's just beautiful.
It's just pure brilliance.
Yeah.
It's like, come up with something else, you Broncos. Well,
listen, I was not, which leads us into kind of a terrible transition here. But when I was in San Diego, also the students there, they had their first game in the Mountain West. I don't know if you know this, along with the Big Ten. My sons go to the University of San Diego. They are Division I. What is it? FCS, the smaller division.
Right.
They are not playing yet. They did start practice last week, my younger son said. But how about what's going on in the Big Ten? And while I was down in the Mountain West Conference, San Diego State hosted their home game on Saturday. Again, no fans allowed anywhere in California because California is as blue as it, they are as red as it comes, blue as it comes. What are they?
It's blue.
Blue.
You're colorblind though, so.
I know. They're as blue as it comes when it comes to the politics of COVID. But how about this for irony? San Diego State hosting a football game. Also on Saturday, the chancellor or the president or those that think they're in power at the university at San Diego State, which is a Cal State school, decided curfew for all students past 6 p.m. until the election is over. And this leads into this conversation right here that you're posting up about Michigan. They're locked down right now again in Ann Arbor, my alma mater. And yet the Big Ten and the NCAA is saying, hey, but we can play football. The rest of you normal kids can't leave your dorms or can't go out and party, can't do anything. You can't go to the Brown Jug and get some pizza. You're locked in. Same with San Diego State, but the business side of football is allowed to go on, Bobby.
Yeah. Well, it's
the irony. The irony.
We live in the age of irony. I mean, there was the Bronze Age, there was the Gilded Age, there was the Iron Age, and now we live in the age of irony, and it's everywhere you look, and which makes it incredibly appealing then to be a trader, I think, more than ever, because there is no irony in trading. Well, actually, sometimes there is. But trading is a zero-sum game. You win or you lose, you're good or you're bad, and you don't get.
But it's a zero-sum game with yourself. It's not a zero-sum game, me against you or me against Stevie Cohen. It's me against
exactly. Me. But there's no spin that I made 10 grand and then wow, it's not in my trading account. What do you mean it's not in my trading account?
Well, that happens if you have an account with Robinhood.
Well, or what was it? Mount Gox. Oh my Gox. All right, let's enough of the fucked upness of today's society, and let's move on to something else that we can talk about that actually might help with the anxiety that today's society brings and possible cures. Not only things that help you deal with it, but also stocks that you can trade that are delving deeply into the science. And I'm talking specifically about marijuana stocks, and now soon to be on the horizon here on the ballot in Oregon, psilocybin, psychedelic mushroom therapies, and some incredible results so far. I just watched a documentary on mushrooms, and they spent a good portion of the documentary on this exactly, a psilocybin protocols for PTSD, for people dealing with end of life, cancer in particular. But along with the story, you can actually take an opinion on it with your pocketbook. And so I know that you have a few marijuana stocks that we have talked about in the past, and that you can you pull them up?
I can pull them up.
Let's do it.
And
Let's
and
talk.
there is and I'm looking forward again as we start this again. There is a new psilocybin stock. You gotta enable me to just. It says I'm.
Oh, right on. Hold on a
gotta
second.
Set that.
Transferring power. There we go.
Let's see. So there are a couple marijuana stocks, Bob, that I do like. They're a little overextended, and we talked a little bit about this on Friday, matter of fact, and they're already pulling back. Matter of fact, Canopy, probably the big daddy of all, is owned by, it's got a significant ownership by Constellation Brands. STZ owns about 49% of the company. So if you think about that, this is definitely a company that's going to sustain and continue to live. But this is pulling back nicely. I would really like to be a buyer again. I'd buy the pullbacks anywhere from the high 16s all the way down to 14. And that's the lower band here that we've been stuck in really since COVID started. And yes, in fact, there are many benefits of the cannabinoid system that resides in all of us as people. Most people don't know that the human body actually has a system to deal with cannabinoids, including marijuana and CBD. So those hemp brownies are actually quite a healthy treat for you vegetarians out there. It keeps you green and it gives you a little chocolate and a little sugar fix. And Bob, you've got quite a good recipe for the hemp brownies.
I do. And we'll be sharing that this week for sure. But all right, so in general, people that and there are a lot of people out there that aren't familiar with the profile, but I think this one speaks directly to the power of the profile.
Yeah.
How pricing does become efficient over time, and that prices distribute in a bell curve, and that's a pretty darn good looking.
Yeah. Again, this stock is traded as low as 9 during COVID. When everything sold off, and right before COVID, it traded at 26, peaked 23 there in May. And again, another run up here to 20.5, but it's also making higher lows. We had a $9.08. We had a 13, and this low here was around 14. So we're basically consolidating, which is what you want as as somebody interested in a long-term play here. And I think the longer term play here will next time it gets over, say 21, I think it's going to go back and test probably that 26. So I think this is a good name for other people to own. They're involved in cultivation, so they grow. They're involved in making products, different products that they're bringing to the market, whether it's actual marijuana, flower that they're smoking, or they're putting it into, edibles, whether it's, the different candy products, gummies, chocolate. There's all types of edibles that are coming to the market. And with about 30 states now having some sort of either medical or recreational marijuana available, and all of them will have it. And once that happens, and once the Fed comes with the banking, which regardless of Biden, Trump, should happen in the next term. We thought it would happen this term with Trump, and they got pretty far, but they didn't quite get the banking aspect of the marijuana on the retail side done on the federal level. So believe it or not, your marijuana is legal in those 30 states, but the transactions themselves are marginally illegal, even on the federal level, which is so messed up when you think about it. That being said, the other company I like is a company called Cresco Labs. And it's based, I don't even know where they call home base anymore. I think it's Chicago, but they're a processor. So what they do is they take the flower and they turn it into oils. So the distillates, the isolates, the different products that then are sold to the wholesalers who make drinks, whether it's CBD water, whether it's THC, ginger beer. There's all types of products for those states that have it. And we've seen them here in Oregon for so long. People don't understand how big these markets are. I mean, I think Ben, I think Oregon here, we did well over $1.2 billion last year in the marijuana retail spaces. And I know Colorado's probably, just because of the population disparity, is probably double that. So these are not even big states population wise. California is now legalized. Michigan, I know, is legalized. I think Illinois has some. Ohio has different aspects. So even, this stuff is happening. And as it continues, these are names that as they pull back again, the Cresco Labs kind of got ahead of itself here, but I'd love to be a buyer of it back in the low fives on any pullback. So this is where you do your homework and you take a look at the profile and say, if we can get a step back, I don't need to necessarily chase it now. And you can see we kind of double topped here. But the next time we get above that 780 level, again, that this is probably going to see another 250, which is, a 25% move on a stock like this.
Right.
And a player that is definitely making strides in long-term relationships and doing business in the marijuana and hemp space.
And that point of control is down at what?
It's right at $6.
$6. Perfect.
Yep. And
Perfect.
we're trading 7.14 or so today.
All right, let me let's go
And
back
again,
full screen.
We talk about this a lot, Bob, but it's not necessarily marijuana per se as it is the picks and shovels, those that are making and doing things around in that business, hence the processing. Most people don't even know that you can take via, there's a lot of ways to process marijuana, but what they do is they basically cook it down and they make it into an oil. And the oil is very, very, it's water soluble. There's some water soluble products now, so you can actually put it in water. You literally can't see it. It doesn't float at the top. It doesn't sink at the bottom. It's
Right.
like drinking a bottled water anymore. And people don't know that this stuff is really going to change the way that it's consumed. It's not just, kids getting high in their parents' basement anymore.
All right, go. Let's pull that back. I'm having a problem finding my screen here. It's all you.
You want me to give it back to you?
Can you back out to?
I'll stop sharing.
Does that push us back? We're gonna get this down. One day we'll have producers.
Okay, you should be
there
back.
we go. That's all I needed to do. All right, next up, a couple of different, and these are already a couple weeks old, but obviously sometimes the news cycle can be overtaken by lots of things. And so two tweets here, one headline, and then there was a tweet thread that I'll bring up here. China launches clean plate campaign against food waste. And then the next one is, hold on. No. This one, and particularly I'm interested in the response. And this is August 28th. Well, the other one was August 13th, I think. So already more than a month old, but for sure, stuff like this is not at the top of the headlines. And when you read the tweet thread, you're like, how can this not be? Oh, it is actually in the trading chart for sure. We're going to bring some of that up to show you. But here, 2 days after China called for food conservation, United Nations Agriculture Food Agency food program joint report: 130 million people hungry this year. 630 people. I don't get those two things. Like 690 million people at the risk. Anyway, a lot of people hungry.
Yeah. And
the China Food Conservation Program going as far as showing Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, getting his crab legs and lobster that he didn't finish at the restaurant to go so he can eat on his airplane. Students being required to take a snapshot of their plate and show that they finished their dinner as part of their schooling. Anybody that says that this isn't a looming issue has got to be, not dealing with reality, and the price action for sure shows it.
Yep.
So obviously China, I mean, we talked with Jer saying that, the number one policy in China is nobody goes hungry. Any revolution for sure can be started with hungry or cold people. Two things, food and shelter. You got to take care of that as a society, or people get agitated fairly quickly. In fact, I know there was a book out or a thing called 12 Meals to Anarchy. Like, it doesn't take very long right? You miss 12 meals. If we're talking 3 square a day, in a very short period of time, 4 days, you're uprising if you're hungry. Anyway, I'm going to jump to the chart here and just talk about it, because I had talked about these hogs and how they fully looked like they were rolling over. For me, on a standard deviation modeling, they had traded down and opened and traded below that weekly momentum level. But hey, look, see what happened by the end of the day. They were fully right back into upmo on the weekly. And if we go to the daily, you can see also rejecting that lower momentum level on the daily, right back up to the daily 13-day moving average. I know you like to use a 10-day moving average. And again, we've seen some pullback in the corn, but again, how about the corn? Right down to the momentum level, and then bounce right off of it, not giving it up yet.
Corn's on a tear. I mean, it's since early August, mid-August, the 10th, it's up from three a bushel all the way up here to 420. And again, they like those high numbers. 420 is high for corn.
I was going to wonder how long it took us to that's just beautiful serendipity in a segment when 420 on the corn chart lines up with the cannabis stocks.
Yep.
I love it. And wheat also, actually, wheat rolled over a bit here, not through the daily average, but with the kind of fundamental, and we call it the fundamental fuck you, because sometimes the story can get you in trouble as a trader because you believe more in the story than the price action is dictating. Mm-hmm. So you have to be cognizant of that. So the story is big, and believe me, I learned this. I continually learn this. I'm a human, and humans love stories. I love stories. But if the more that you can acknowledge the fundamental story, but pay particular attention to the technicals, especially not marrying bad positions and or being patient and waiting for levels that align with your longer term fundamental position, but it gives you the opportunity to just not continually buy the high or sell the low because you fall in love with the story. It gives you patience where you can step back from the story and have a little rational head and discussion about, and honestly, the grains I'm at right now, if we look, especially on the weeklies, it's like you missed a lot of this already. If you weren't on this story at the beginning of the year, or even into the middle of the summer, as you look at wheat, 475 to 6.25, jumping in and buying it here doesn't seem like a great thing to do.
No, but I will also say, Bob, that it may not be the time to short it either. So it's just one of those things where you if you want to get involved, I've been talking about these grains. To your point, we didn't go much lower in the summer, but we did spend a number of years basically building this. We've got this, I call it a platform, and the platform's ready to be jumped off of, and these things are ready. You want to
bring that chart up?
Sure.
Again, take it over.
Yep.
Because I agree with you. There's nice meaty 3 to 5 year chunks.
Okay, so here this is wheat again. This was late June. We're at 471, and we're up here to 638 was our high. Today we're off $13, and that's significant. But again, still only $19 from
13
the all-time.
cents. It's $6.38 is the high there.
Yep.
Yeah.
638, and we went from 471. So again, it's a significant move. It's about a 35% move that we've seen here in just 3 months. But if you look at the longer term charts, and we were kind of talking about this, wheat has gotten probably a little bit further extended than the rest of them, but not by any means back to where we were in say the 2012 area, which was, 2012 is here, and then 27 was back in here. So this thing is traded as high as, I think we were at 14 a bushel back then, and now we're here at 638.
Right.
And again, this is really, you can see when you kind of zoom in here in the last 5 years, and I'll go to a daily just so you can see this. So we're taking off. We've built this kind of base over the last number of years. And now I would say that any pullbacks you can get to the, to the mid, if you could see 560 to even, 600, that'd probably be the area. This, you can see where I've got my cursor right here. That's 598. That was kind of the breakout zone here. And that's going back to 2015. So a solid 5.5, 6 years. So, and you see the profile very nicely showing this big base at 520. So again, we're talking about things that have already happened here on today's broadcast, but we've been, this has been telegraphed for a while. It's been inching up higher lows this entire time, going back to 16. You see that? And you got a profile that says, wow, like this thing is solid in here. There's a lot of strong hands holding corn that want it to go higher. And now that we break out, any pullbacks will just trap just the people who are chasing here in this new breakout. That's what happens. Like they trap the new breakout players. But if you're smart about this, you might get a dip here to buy. If you could get that 562 level, by all means, start nibbling it up and buy it down to 514. There could be something in, and that's where it fits in with this fundamental picture, which is shaping up that, listen, because of COVID and because of the problems farmers had during COVID and getting their product shipped and delivered, they grew it, but they literally couldn't get people to come pick it up. So there was a huge wasted amount of food, again, talking to your food issue, they couldn't even feed it to their animals. So this is what's driving the fundamental pictures, but it's already kind of gotten ahead of itself in the pricing. So we just want you to be aware that this is probably something for you. This is a very bullish setup versus say the S&P or versus the NASDAQ, which have had these huge runs. This is more in its infancy of the possible moves that you could see here over the next few years for the grains, in my belief. Same thing with corn. I mean, this thing shot up here to 420, but you see, again, we really haven't broken out of anything here.
Yeah, corn, you mentioned that before. Corn, completely different in its march than both the beans and the wheat.
Yep.
But again, still above that long, thick profile.
Yep.
Several years worth in that range.
And the beans are kind of the same. They're all getting way out ahead of themselves. But any pullbacks, again, if you can get a pullback on the beans, and the beans tend to be out of the three of the grains, it's probably the most volatile just because of the price action. And again, it traded here in the 12s as far back as 2016. We're trading 1088 today, 1082.
Right on.
1080 was the high. But if you can get that pullback into these 970 levels, that'd be a really juicy spot.
Let me ask you this: do you also look at some of those holes as places to possibly buy?
Yeah, I mean, all these little holes in here. Here's one. Again, 1011, 980, and then and then as you go down, this whole dark area is 70% of that's where the trade has happened over the last 6 years. So we're right in it. We're just breaking out of it. Anytime we pull back into this, again, I'd go kind of 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 5 here, and just buy them if you get the chance to buy it on a pullback. And the reason I say that is because this thing is parabolic. It's steep. It's not going to maintain. Every time you go parabolic like this, it pulls back. So if you can get a pullback like this and here, this could be your best trade as it pulls back into here, just like it did here in the fall of 16. Then you get the snap back, half of this move, right? The move from 12.14 back here to 9.14. So you had a $3 move, and then you get a nice $1.50 bounce again. And those sometimes are the easiest setups. So you just have to wait for them. Be patient. It's not sexy.
Yeah, that's a hard. Believe me, I know this from experience on how hard sometimes it is to forget the fundamental story and let the chart play out.
Another item we were talking about that goes along with this, right? Energy has been just pounded, from the producers. Oil prices obviously went negative this year, which was another crazy thing about 2020. But I think if you want a long-term play that probably is not going to go away. I think the energy sector, and we talked about it, the ETF that's probably most widely traded, XLE. Look at this thing. This is a beautiful chart. If you think that we're going to continue using oil and energy products, which I think we will. I know California is trying to get rid of all, carbon and all that, but it's just not going to happen. It can't happen in 5 years the way they're laying it out. It's not going away. So although this thing is well below its value area, it's cut in half. The 68 is the value. We're trading 29. Again, if you want value, this is something that you would probably want to buy for the long term. Energy is not going away. We're still going to be using oil products, regardless of Tesla and every other auto manufacturer going to electric.
Yeah,
battery.
and I saw a great graphic. Who's the guy that wears the cow trading jacket? I forget it. Scott Shaladay, Chicago floor guy, and he had a great graphic today on. Everybody just thinks, especially crude oil and the gasoline for your car, but the market is so far and wide on the uses of petroleum.
Again, distillates, jet fuel. You're not gonna have electric batteries running jets. It's not happening.
It's just,
anytime soon.
The market is way bigger than your automobile. Anyway, All right, throw it back at me. And let's talk Matt's favorite. Hold on. Wait a second now. I don't need TradingView yet because we got to blast it off for the crypto segment. Let's talk some crypto. Whoa, man, that came right out of my top pocket today. I had the graphic.
You got a rocket in your pocket.
I actually had a rocket in my pocket that time. That is awesome. All right, let's get to the crypto magic of the day. And speaking of which, and obviously that's why they call this trading, because Bitcoin for sure has had a nice move here. I'm back to wheat. Come on, I knew something was wrong. Either that or I was going to have to check my my crypto balance.
So crypto's up, Bitcoin is up 21% in the last 30 days of trading. The last 3 months is up 11%. Last week up 2%. 6 months, 35%. Year to date, 82%. What a year for crypto, huh?
What a year. And lots of stories being told. Hold on a second. I don't know why I can't hear. I'm going to just go.
But the 2017 highs still stand. The 2019 highs still stand. So
absolutely.
Are we making lower highs, or are we going to go to 1 million like all the other hodl boys are saying?
Matt, Matt's the don't player. Everybody understands this. And if you don't, welcome to the show.
Don't come, don't pass.
All right. Thank you. I got to tell you, I have some real issues. Anyway, I wanted to show you something. All right. So a nice leg up last week, right into the collar. But we did kick the potentiality of the collar up, which is positive. It's, Matt, I call it market vitals because for me, it's sort of like, the emergency room. When they bring a patient in, the doctor, he wants to know the vital signs, right? He wants to know what's the blood pressure, what's the levels, oxygen levels, where's the pain. Nobody goes into the emergency room and the doctor never asks for the fundamentals on this guy. Like, he's a real nice guy. He goes to church. He likes fishing. Like, he likes long walks on the beach. He donates his time. He donates money to the food. No, don't give me the fundamentals. Like, that's all the story about the guy. In the ER, they want the vitals. What are the vital signs? Is this guy going to die? Right. And for me, a lot of times when I read charts, I'm thinking about the same way. So right now, kicking that standard deviation line up, right, because of the price action, that's a healthier sign for the longer term price action of Bitcoin. That's all I'm saying. it's not a for sure that Bitcoin goes higher, but the expanding potentials on these lines are integral for that to actually play out. So we got a weekly here. I have no problem thinking that this thing could pull back to maybe 11.8 to that average. I in general think, though, if it's going to truly be parabolic from here, and they're going to test the 14,000 and the 16,000 and the 18,000, and the
you'll need more rocket fuel for sure.
Yes, but it should respect the momentum levels. That's what I'm saying in general. When things they respect those momentum levels when there's true rocket fuel coming into the market. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm actually long some Bitcoin here. I actually was working that double top at 14,000, Matt, and I'm hoping. Sometimes you hope and pray, right?
Well, it's interesting. We had the false breakout there in August, mid-August, right? We got to 12.5 basically.
Right.
And then we pulled back and looking at the profile, like that was the buy you wanted to pick up. And right when it went from 12.5 to about 9,500. So again, it sold off 28% in less than a month, right? Really hard and fast. But if you had, and I'll show you, let me show you here real quick. If you had knowledge of the profile, which we try to provide you both, Bob's market vitals along with the profile view, you would have seen very nicely that this pullback that you had here in early to mid September got you that 10,000 level. Well, guess what, folks? That was the meat. Again, that was your dip that we were just talking about that you're looking for now in the grains. You got the dip right into here. You want to buy anywhere from here down to here. So again, the problem with these long-term charts is you've got to scale yourself in, and you've got to be prepared for this thing can go to 6 and still be bullish. Right. So 10,000 is bullish, but that's a significant move. When you see a move like that in short amount of time, you got to buy it. I mean, it's just, you got to fade the momentum. This is where, when you combine the momentum levels with the profile levels, you get a 2-for-1, right? You got both things lining up perfectly. Your momentum is saying we could go higher. So when it pulls back on the price side of things, you got to go in and go pound the table and grab some, because it doesn't stay here long. Matter of fact, it reversed hard, went right to 11.2 or so. So that gave you a $1,200 move, pulled back a little bit, and then boom, here we go, another $2,000. This thing has gone up. So which is exactly how I would expect it to behave, with momentum and the price behavior merging together and giving you that set of buyers that can come in and really push the asset class as it has. Now, I don't want to chase it here again per se, and I'm not necessarily eager about shorting it quite yet, but that's where I am. That's how I see it. I would love to pull back again. Pull back. I'm a buyer again. BTFD, mofos.
All right, Matt. Beautiful. And that's why they call it trading, by the way, because multiple perspectives. I remember trying to explain it to people. I'm going to bring tomorrow. I'll bring up the. I know we talked about this, about the deck, the actual physical deck on the trading floor, actual orders in a deck, right? And sometimes you just watch the growth of the deck upside and downside to get an idea which way the market was more vulnerable for a correction. And I actually got a great picture of Harry the Hat, longtime great personality on the trading floor, holding a trading deck. But anyway, that's kind of the nuance of the market. Somebody asked me, like, so why would somebody trade, or why would and the answer is there's thousands of reasons. It's an infinite number of reasons why participants engage or don't engage. And so that's kind of just to understand that, quit trying to figure out why somebody would engage, but what is the chart telling you? What is the price?
Traders doing different things, even though,
exactly.
That's important. Just because Bob only looks at